Last week, expectations were thrown out the window and subsequently blowing up the race to MSI and paving the way for a new NA LCS champion. We'll see how Olay and Impact perform for their Team Liquid as they face off against Echo Fox, who will be fielding Phoenix in the mid lane once again. After taking a short break, he's back there in Week 9. That's right, he is back. So is the team that had the bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NA LCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes we share our thoughts on the 4 teams going to Miami and who we think will step up along the way until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champions Select. Now, before we get into the series, let's send it over to Avali on stage for the presentation of the Rookie of the Split.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Licorice. Congratulations. You are the 2018 Rookie of the Split. Was this award a surprise to you, and what does the title mean?
I mean, I can't really say it was the biggest surprise. I feel like I did pretty well. The second half of the split obviously wasn't as good as the first half, but I think I had a pretty good performance for a rookie. But I mean, I'm just happy to be holding some trophy after how playoffs went, so.
And a beautiful trophy at that. Now that you have this title under your belt, what's next for you in terms of personal goals and improvement?
I think it's just, as a rookie, you're kind of expected to, make a lot of mistakes and have, issues that people are just like, oh, yeah, he can't do this. Yeah, he's a rookie. So, I mean, next split, I'm just going to look to, be a good player. You know, this split, I was a good rookie. Next split, it's about being a good player.
Looking into that next split, a lot of Cloud9 fans are excited to see you come back. There they are in the audience. So what are your plans for the offseason, and what is summer Cloud9 going to look like?
For the off season, I'm not too sure right now. There's a lot of things, a lot of ideas floating around, I guess. A lot of people are talking about going to Korea. I might go do that for a little boot camp, or I might just take it easy. I'm not too sure right now, but yeah, I'll try to look strong for summer for sure.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that. Congratulations again on your trophy. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Avali. Congratulations to Licorice, a much-deserved Rookie of the Split. We have to remember, out the gates, how good he looked, especially on those carry champions. But what speaks to me most about that interview there is the growth-oriented mindset, talking about going from being a good rookie to a good player and how much work he still has to do to get to that point.
I think you definitely saw it a little bit in the second half of the split. First half, very dominant. People were not sure exactly where to place him, but it was definitely top 3 somewhere. And he came out, a lot of people were stunned by that, and then you kind of saw that rookie wall come in that a lot of people talk about hitting, where it does take some time to get through, and you look for a complete season from him next time.
Yeah, and a lot of times in League, I feel like the rookie wall has less to do with time and more to do with patches.
Yeah.
Right? You started on a great patch, and then that rookie wall was patch 8.4. Ooh, that was a tough one.
Yeah, so again, looking to blast through that wall, open up that champion pool and strategic diversity for the team moving into summer split. Now, it's also my pleasure to announce that the Coach of the Split award is going to Prawley of 100 Thieves.
I think he deserves a lot of credit for what happened with this roster. We talked about that kind of sag in the middle of the season. Oh, what a goofy guy.
He is a goofy guy.
But that sag that happened in the middle of the season, we heard a lot of kind of things internally that everyone had a different idea of how they wanted to play the game. And the fact that he got this team of veterans all aligned and playing well as a cohesive unit just speaks to how good of a job he did.
Yeah, a lot of teams underwent a lot of adversity this year. The 4-game losing streak 100 Thieves had at the end of the first round robin of our split, and then the fact that they ended 8-1, won the tiebreaker, got the playoff bye, I think turned a lot of people towards Prawley's favor. And
very much
congratulations. So. Now it's about pushing it forward to playoffs.
He's won it in EU, won it in NA. Now he's got to look for the title here in North America. Make sure to tune into the countdown tomorrow, where we'll be presenting that Coach of the Split award to him ahead of his series against Clutch Gaming. And if you want to check out how the voting for the 2 awards broke down, take a look at the article on LOLesports.com. Now, last week, the last of the banner holders fell to the wayside, leading to the bracket that you see here. Tomorrow, number 1 seeded 100 Thieves face off against the number 6 seeded Clutch Gaming. And then the winner of that series will face the winner of today, Echo Fox versus Team Liquid, at the Fillmore in Miami for the NA LCS Spring Finals. Now, as we ship off to the East Coast, so will our start time. NA LCS Countdown hits your screens at 12:30 p.m. PST, or following the conclusion of the EU LCS matches in Copenhagen. Again, that's next week. Look for those time changes, schedule everything on LOLesports.com. With the exit of the perennial powerhouse in TSM, though, it's time to say a fond farewell to our reigning LCS champs in RIP TSM.
Now that I believe in nothing, I see clearly the things I didn't know. The hypnotizing hold of love leaves me with a question. Why?
I will be entirely honest, I did not see that coming.
The bear thing was so good.
Oh, that was brilliant.
The whys in that, I'm pretty sure, were people, like fans asking why is Thresh still in these games. I think that's what that was in reference to.
Yeah, and I mean, we won't be seeing them again this split. That's why we've been running the RIP videos as soon as you're not seeing a team again. But it's tough, too, because TSM did look so good towards the end of the regular season, and the ending was so abrupt.
It was.
Yeah, and I really do wonder how they bounce back from this, because the whole split, everyone was saying, don't worry, TSM's always in the finals, they're going to turn it around. And the fact that they almost did now makes you wonder whether TSM's going to treat it as a huge failure and try and blow some stuff up, or just keep running the process that made them look better towards the end of the regular season.
It was a huge crack in that storyline that we had kind of built, where it's like, oh yeah, they rally towards the end of the season no matter how they look.
And then all of a sudden they're the favorites.
Yeah, they make a great playoff run, and it's like, oh yeah, we're going down that path again, and it's just like detour right off the road.
Very
so
abrupt.
It makes you wonder.
Tire, hard corrected, overcorrected left.
Because they have to do well in summer now.
Right.
They only have 10 championship points. If they do that again, they're not going to Worlds.
Right.
So
exactly. As an organization that's always had world aspirations, expecting domestic dominance, for the first time they've been kind of knocked down a peg here domestically. We'll see how they can restructure and reorient themselves coming into summer and make that run towards an NA LCS title, reclaiming that banner that's so knocked Bjergsen in the face. That said, we're down to 4 teams, and ahead of our series today, Team Liquid's coach Kane spoke to Avli about turning Echo Fox's strengths against them.
Thanks, Dash. I just spoke with Kane, and he says that him and his team are feeling confident coming into today's match. And actually, they were more nervous for Cloud9 than for Echo Fox today, even though Echo Fox had more time to prepare for them. He said as for their preparation coming into the week, they focused more on fixing their own issues, like internal communication, synergy, and any mistakes that they may have made in their Cloud9 series. As for identifying Echo Fox's weakness, he says that the team is just too aggressive and that they take any fights that they can. So as long as they know their limits, they're confident that they're going to take them down. Back to you.
And we'll get into this more deeply on the back half of the commercial break, but I want to get you guys' initial thoughts on Kane's kind of attack strategy here, saying he's going to use Echo Fox's aggression against them.
Yeah, I think it's an okay strategy against Echo Fox because they have made a lot of plays, but I also wonder which Echo Fox they're expecting, and that's the hardest thing to play against, because in the last week when they were running with 2 subs, they actually didn't have that same level of aggression. So I wonder what types of tweaks they've made in champion pool and play style with the bye week and now with their original roster once again.
It does feel almost like a storyline that spans multiple sports, where if you're the super aggressive team in the regular season running people over with all-out offense, when you reach the playoffs and people play more defensive and slower and more intelligent, that playstyle struggles a little more.
Exactly, and we have to remind ourselves that it's been essentially a month since we've seen the starting roster of Echo Fox play on this LCS stage, so a lot can be done in that amount of time. To hear more about the matchup, let's send it over to Pastry Time, Kobe, and Azael to get their thoughts.
Thank you, Dash. We wanted to take a look at this Echo Fox roster, which, like you said, is fielding its OG starting 5 for the first time, fellas, since week 8.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while, and Anero did mention at the time when they first brought in those subs that it was a chance to kind of give them a little bit of rest, to relieve some of the stress that they had been feeling going into playoffs, but this does not remove some of the questions that have been there, especially about the bottom lane. And Adrian and Altec had been struggling in some of even the easier matchups that had been considered all the way back since really 8.4 when Callista got nerfed, because they've been using that pick so well previously.
The champions in the meta definitely do seem to affect especially the bottom lane very heavily. So we'll see with an extra week of practice, maybe if Echo Fox have found a solution, for the bottom half of the map. Something they don't need a solution for, though, the top half of the map has been a huge strength for Echo Fox. Huni and Dardoch pretty much best in their positions for the North American LCS. Huni unanimously, voted #1 top laner here. And him specifically, he keeps on talking about how he wants to win all 3, Europe, Korea, as well as North America. And North America is the one that slipped away from him. Even though on Immortals, they had that 16-2 run in the normal split, they lost in the playoffs, and he wants to correct that here with Echo Fox and take the championship.
And it'll be interesting to see, you talked about picks. It'll be interesting to see if he has any new hidden picks that he has been practicing, that he's prepared
Lucian
for this.
2.0!
Oh, no. He brings back the greatest stuff for us. I mean, people are saying it might be a little bit tough for him against Impact, who has been so good at neutralizing these matchups, but either way, it's going to be really exciting.
Already seen a couple of surprises internationally, but that's what we're looking at for that series. Until then, back to you, Dash.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's an interesting thought, right? The idea that Huni, so successful in Europe, in LCK, and even, again, in the regular season here in NA, some of the most smashing performances we've ever seen, yet to attain this title. There's a mental aspect to all of that that's got to seep in somewhere, right? Where it's eating away at you, this idea that you haven't yet attained it, and you know, and you're still that much further or that far away from doing so.
And it's kind of hard to diagnose exactly what it is. Your initial reaction is kind of meme it up like, haha, it's NA, it's the more difficult region, or haha, it's NA, it's such a clown fiesta, even Huni doesn't know what's going on here.
Right.
But it is like, why is it that he tends to seemingly struggle here more than anywhere else?
Yeah, in playoffs.
In playoffs.
Because in the regular season,
Exactly.
it's the
Yeah,
most
smashing.
dominant region he's ever been in.
Right.
And it's a matter of not just how much he wants it, but what's the meta, what's his environment, and can he do it this time?
We will find out soon enough. We're stepping away for a quick break. When we return, we're going to take a look at the strengths of the remaining 4 teams in playoffs, gather who you think will take it all, and hear from the Echo Fox coach leading into his first playoff series. You won't want to miss it.
History in the making. No one expected that outcome. The 6th place team takes down the greatest dynasty.
You tried to tell us it was all gonna end.
LCS is just a lot more dynamic now. It's not the same as any other year. There is no favorite anymore.
We hear the noise and start to plan our revenge.
We're going to disband or implode. We're going to get complacent. We're going to end 7th, all those things. That was the expectation for us.
We're hard to stop.
I mean, we smashed the whole league.
Dardoch puts himself in front, and the quick orange fox jumps over the Nexus. Chunks him out, but here comes the engage. Double kill Smoothie. Spinning got it! Spinning got it! And the fight continues well for Liquid.
I always like being the underdogs. If everybody's doubting you and then you just win, it feels so much better.
The death sentence! Hakuo is a freaking monster this game! 100 Thieves sneaking all the way up and stealing a playoff bye.
I said before the split began that we're gonna win. And I'll do everything in my power to make it happen.
Made to be legends.
Welcome back to the NA LCS Countdown. We're narrowing in on Echo Fox versus Team Liquid, our first semifinal of this weekend. And when looking at the departure of TSM from the playoff race, so go the feelings that they would inevitably win it all. And so, using your analytical prowess, both you guys here and you at home, I want you guys to give me the percentage chance that each of these remaining teams will lift the championship trophy in Miami. And while we grab Jat and Mark's probabilities, spam chat with who you think is going to win and take it all using the team's tri-codes as you see on the bottom of the screen. So spam away. We'll check in with those numbers soon enough. For now, though, I'm going to turn to you guys and look for your prediction percentages.
Yeah, as we heard from Doublelift in that piece just now, there's no clear favorites coming into this. And that's why the percentages are so interesting. So I actually did like real probabilities math.
Yeah, we mathed the hell out of this.
So this is what it looks like.
It's a Bayesian graph is, I think, what
Yeah, Mark helped me with the formulas.
Nice. I like
We
it.
spent a lot of time on this before the show, actually. So what this essentially does is you pick your probabilities for each of the matchups, and that gives you a probability of getting any of these matchups.
Right.
Then you pick the probabilities again
For the
to
winners
spit
of
out
those.
your final percentages.
Exactly.
And basically, because I think 100 Thieves' matchup against Clutch is a 70-30 game, and then even though they're close to 50-50, if they play either Echo Fox or TL in the finals,
their overall
this is their
chance
percentage
much
chance
higher.
to win the split. So I kind of just gave away my predictions for the rest of the weekend.
There you
but I
have
do
it.
like the percentages that spit out. Team Liquid has a real chance. A lot of teams are in the running.
Well, exactly. So a lead for 100 Thieves there, but mostly because of their semifinal matchup and how that helps their numbers moving forward. A much closer matchup here today with Team Liquid having a slight edge. Let's talk Mark's numbers.
Yeah, so, I mean, Jack did all this crazy math. I just went with my gut. I I was like, you know what? Let's just talk about what I think. And,
What do you think?
Yeah, I spent the rest of the time helping Jat with his. So that one spent a lot more work.
Okay. But you, similarly, you have the same hierarchy, slightly different numbers.
Right, absolutely. And I think one of the things that he's hitting on very importantly there is the fact that we are expecting 100 Thieves to make the finals more so than anyone else here.
Okay.
And the thing that we're going to have to do, though, is reevaluate after we see these semifinals, because a lot of these finals prediction matchups are based off what we know right now. But maybe Echo Fox comes in and smashes TL and Huni looks like a god. And then at that point, you're like, well, okay, maybe they're the new favorites. So this is to reevaluate. But right now, looking at it, no one has any idea exactly who's going to do what.
Right. I think what we're landing on here is that there is not a clear favorite.
Right.
Well, so many of these teams have had great points in the season and weak points in the season. So you don't really know which team is going to show up. We thought TSM was through their struggles, and now they're out of it.
All right, here are the viewer numbers as
That's
they
really
come
close
in.
to
I mean,
it's
they
closer
very
to the
close
graph
to
that I
mirror.
made.
Although
Echo Fox.
it does appear as though viewer numbers suggest Team Liquid Fox is not as close as some others might think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure the fans have like an overall prevailing sentiment, but you know, it is pretty close here. And
I'm impressed with the 100 support in chat right now, especially as a completely new org to kind of. A lot of times this is just like popularity.
I'm sure Nate Shot saw that poll and like tweeted out like, everyone go spam chat.
Right.
And it got his 2 million followers in there.
Yeah, do I get merch?
Yeah.
No, anyway, with those numbers locked in, I do want to talk through each of these 4 teams remaining in playoffs and kind of talk about strengths, weaknesses, and how they might fulfill that destiny, right, of holding the trophy over their heads. Let's start with 100 Thieves, the team projected by percentage points to win it all.
Apparently they're the favorites now.
Yes.
And it has to do with the #1 seed, the way they looked at the end of the regular season, and the fact that the team has a lot of individual experience, even if they're a new team. Aframu, former NA LCS champion. Meteos, former NA LCS champion. Cody Sun was in the finals last split. All of these guys have, been to Worlds. They've played a lot of big splits. And look how long
just
they've
the
been
number
pros.
of years accrued on the professional level.
That's the thing. It's not just the success that they've had, but how long they've been doing it here. And once again, for this group of 5 guys to get first again, it's just a testament to how long that they've been playing and how much time they've maintained that consistency of being great.
Right, Meteos redefining his own consistency. Aframo still, or rather returning to top form. Let's move right along to their opponents tomorrow in Clutch Gaming.
Yeah, and Clutch Gaming is the team that's surprising to be here for a lot of people, and they actually have some real strengths. They play really good defense, and unlike a lot of other teams who talk about needing to play a bunch of different ways to prove their versatility, Clutch focuses on their strengths in almost every single game, which is why I think they've been able to generate these victories, and they game plan really well for their opponents.
Right. And the other thing that they have right now is kind of the attitude. They just feel like they have this intangible that no one else has, where they are the underdogs almost across the board. Even though it's much closer than before, they only have 1 win against the remaining playoff
That's your worry right there, right? Is this idea of Clutch being a super consistent team, but they consistently perform to a level that isn't expected to win.
Right, but because that's the prevailing sentiment, it kind of helps them, because when they make mistakes and things like that, they don't get as down as some teams like maybe a TSM, where it's like, we're supposed to crush them and like, what happened this game? And then these guys don't have that kind of mentality that they're working with.
Yeah, and they've used the energy of nobody believes in us to kind of unlock their attitudes in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
When things do go wrong, it doesn't matter because they're still just going to try and prove them wrong on the next step.
A perfect example is their series against TSM, getting smashed in game 1. Then we've got the whole fiasco around the bot lane turret dive and the failed summoner spells, and yet they come back, win that one and the next 2 back-to-back to finish a 3-1 victory over the favorites coming into the playoffs. On to the games today, though. Echo Fox versus Team Liquid. Let's start with Team Liquid.
Both these guys feel pretty dependent on the meta, and especially for Team Liquid, it feels like it's playing perfectly into their strengths right now. A lot of bot lane focus, a lot of AD carries being the most important things, more stable matchups in the top lane, with Impact mostly being able to play tanks, means that a lot of the action should be played through bot lane right now.
Yeah, and Doublelift didn't die in the series against Cloud9.
Ayo.
Impact was receiving 3 top lane bans in every single one of those games, still looked effective. The only hiccup really in that series, I think, was Ole's play, looking a little spotty in the mid game, and those can cost you against a team as aggressive as Echo Fox, who gets 1 pick and then rushes to Baron. So he does have to clean that play up. Team Liquid, though, as Mark says, is in meta right now.
All right, now as we posit the probabilities of each of these teams, Anero feels Echo Fox has recaptured their early split strengths.
Yeah, now that TSM are gone, I'm pretty sure it's just us and TL. I think today is actually like the actual finals pretty much, and whoever wins that will win against 100 Thieves and Clutch. I think the break was really good. When we came back and all started practicing together again for that 2 weeks, started off a little bumpy at first, but after like 1 or 2 days, everyone was used to each other again, and we started really killing it in scrims. So we spent a lot of time talking about like our own mistakes for the past 2 weeks and what we did in mid game and how we can slow ourselves down. So I'm just going to remind them about that and make sure we're clean.
What's most interesting to me there is what he's talking about, how he feels like this is the finals matchup, which means that in scrims, because people usually play opposite side of the bracket, they're probably destroying 100 Thieves and Clutch Gaming in scrims, which makes them feel like this is their last, real test, because if they beat TL here today, they
already hard smashing these other guys, right? So
So, I mean, that looks real good for Echo Fox, but they still have to worry about the meta a little bit.
And I think that has been their biggest weakness recently. Also in the way teams play against them. So Huni was taking over a lot of games and demanding a lot of priority early, but now if he's on a tank, his collapses down to the rest of the team and his split push threat is diminished, and it's meaning the other people on the team need to step up and also need to absorb a lot more focus, which wasn't happening earlier on in the year.
Right, we've seen that bot lane of Echo Fox get abused at times, and we just talked about how that could be a major strength for Team Liquid, so we're gonna have to see how that shakes out and what that month-long of practice has done for Echo Fox.
Especially because it's the biggest weakness that we've seen from them, and it doesn't feel like it should just necessarily get any better. We saw the substitutes come in, they're back to the starting lineup, but the last time we saw them, they were getting smashed, and now they didn't play at all in the first round. So a little concerning. They still have Huni and Dardoch, the best jungle top duo. But
right, you will always return to the idea that they've got Huni and Dardoch controlling the top side of the map, and that's where I want to put some very specific focus here in our featured matchup of this semifinal series. Huni versus Impact. These guys have an incredible history together, actually.
Yeah, when you really think about it, two former top laners of SKT, Impact a world champion in 2013, Huni a world finalist last year. And if you ask most people right now who is the better top laner, they're going to tell you Huni, because he was almost unanimously first team all NA LCS. But when you look at the history of who has won, Impact has a world championship. Impact knocked Huni out of the playoffs in 2016. Impact kept Huni out of Worlds in 2016 and has had the upper hand in all of those matchups. So Huni's got a lot to prove to try and overcome Impact finally.
Right. Of course, they're doing this with different rosters behind them, and so a lot of that, the history, we'll see if they can shake that off and refocus in on today's series. When we talk about today's series, one thing we did last week, we had a little bit of fun with it, was the over-unders for these best of five. So I've got 3 for you today. I'm going to throw stats at you. You tell me over or under for those best of fives. First up, Double Lift's deaths in this series. We're putting the number at 3.5. Will he have more or less today?
It's a low number, man.
He died 0 times against Cloud9.
Yeah.
I'm going to go under. For me, it's basically, and I don't want to give away my prediction, but it comes down to what I think will happen today, and I expect him to maybe have one bad game. Yeah. But if they play well, he should stay alive.
One bad game, and he dies 4 times. So Double Lift didn't die last series. He only died 20 times during the regular season. His average deaths per game, including playoffs, is actually under 1.
Exactly.
But I still say over, just because I think there will be a game where Huni's popping off and one-shotting him at least 4 times.
All right, fair enough. We got a little difference here in the first stat of the day. Next up, average game time, 35.5 minutes. That is the exact average game time of our playoff games up to this point, for reference.
And I'm going to say under, because for me, these guys both play very explosive playstyles. We did see a little bit more slow gameplay and methodical playstyle last series for TL, but I still don't believe that that's how it's going to work against Echo Fox, who are kind of, like they said, if they fall behind, they're just going to keep making plays.
Okay.
I think this number's right on the money, and I do think Echo Fox slowed down their playstyle a little bit on this patch, so I'm going to go over, but it's close.
I like it. All right. Yeah, we're going to be counting the seconds there on that one. Our final over-under is Team Liquid versus Fox. Average of kills for the series, or rather, sorry, total kills for the series. I'm going to give you the average so you have a number, but 80.5 over-under for total kills. Both of these teams, in the games they've played against each other, have averaged 18.5 kills total in their games.
Once again, I'm picking the under. For me, this is basically 20 kills a game. Are you going more than 4 games?
More than 4, exactly.
And for me, I don't really think so, so I'm going to take the under once again.
Yeah, I'm going over on this one. I think it's going to be a long series, and these are 2 very aggressive teams.
All right, there you have it. A lot of this determined by the length of the series itself. With about 1.5 minutes before champion select, let me get your win conditions for this series. Real quick, Echo Fox.
Yeah, so I think their win condition is to actually play around Huni because that's how they won early and later in the season when teams were ignoring them. The rest of the team was trying to make plays without Huni while Huni was super strong. Play around Huni, get that strength.
All right, play around Huni. What's the answer for Team Liquid?
Funnily enough, my win condition is ignore Huni as much as possible, much for the same reason. If you opt into 2v2ing Huni, that's playing to their strengths. They want to dominate those. They have the best jungle top in the map. Don't do that. Let Impact absorb as much as possible. Play around Doublelift.
Well, a lot of your reasoning's already been thrown out, so real quick, verbally, who are you predicting to win today's series and be the first team to move on to the finals in Fillmore?
Super hard to predict, so I'm actually going TL 3-2.
3-2. Okay, so a tight series here, but going to Team Liquid. Mark, what are you thinking?
3-2 as well. Only thing I'll say is that with the strengths being so different, I wouldn't be surprised if the series is actually a shorter game, but it's very close to tell what's going to happen, so 3-2 is the best we can do.
But Team Liquid as well.
Team Liquid as well.
Team Liquid, tight series. We'll see how it all unfolds. Let's toss it out to the Battle Arena to get us into Game 1.